Hey there, my name's Brashler, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the StudioLive 16.0.2 USB, and specifically about the aux outputs from this PreSonus mixer. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident in your production gear no matter where you're starting from. Now, if you are looking to get better as an audio engineer and are just looking for some different tips and tricks, I have a weekly newsletter that I have over at audiotoolkit.co, where it is free and will come into your email inbox and be about a 5 to 10 minute read depending on the week. So go check that out. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk about the aux section of the PreSonus Studio Live. Now, this board has 4 aux sends. So these auxes are right here on the mixer, and aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, and aux 4. Now, I can go and pair a set of these auxes if I had some, say, stereo in-ears that I wanted to have. So maybe I had 2 floor wedges, one on aux 1 and one on aux 2, and then my aux 3 and 4, I'm going to go ahead and set up as a stereo in-ear send. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press select, and I'm just going to press link. And by doing that, it links my aux 3 and my aux 4 together to be a left and a right. Now, my aux 1 and my aux 2 are still independent and mono. So over on the left-hand side of our board, we have our 4 auxes here. So we have our aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, and aux 4. Now I do have a set of inputs coming in from my computer here. And so if I'm wanting to adjust some of these channels into my aux 1 for my floor wedge, all I have to do is select my aux 1, and then I can simply turn up by the channels. So we have all of our channels here. And I can define what channels I want going into this aux and how much. So for instance, if I wanted my channel 3 turned really loud up into my aux 1, I can. And then maybe we need some more channel 6 and channel 7. And then here's my floor wedge 2, or my aux 2, and I'm going to give a little bit of a mix for that floor wedge. Now, remember, I have my aux 3 and 4 currently set up in a stereo link. So what I can do is I can go ahead and select my aux 3, and I can go ahead and adjust the volume of these particular channels going into this aux 3 and 4. But if I'm wanting to adjust the stereo panning in this set, then what I need to do is I want to go ahead and select aux 4. And then this is my panning for this particular channel. So I can go all the way right or all the way left on my channel 1, and maybe my channel 3 I want to have on the right side, so I can do that. So aux 3 is adjusting the volume, aux 4 is adjusting the pan between left and the right. If I was wanting to have these all centered up, I can. Now, additionally, I can go and pair aux 1 and 2 if I want to. So I could go and select my aux 1 and press the link, and now I have 2 stereo sends coming from my auxes. So I have aux 1 and 2 linked and my aux 3 and 4 linked. Now, just like aux 3 and aux 4 being the panning, aux 1 is the level going to this pair, and aux 2 is the panning for this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back to being a mono, and we can see that we still have our levels here. Now, there are some adjustments that we have in the system portion of our mixer. So if we press system and then go page down to our page 2, this is our aux send, choosing if we want to have a pre-fader or a post-fader. So for my aux 1, I can choose between pre-1, pre-2, or post by just simply selecting the one that I want. If I want to go to my next aux, I just press the next button, and so on and so forth. Now, why would you want to have the ability to do pre-1, pre-2, or post? Well, my effects section, which is A and B, is a perfect example of something that I want to have on post. I want my mix that I'm creating on my board to be the same mix that's being sent to my effects. So for instance, if I had vocal 1 and vocal 2 on my channel 1 and 2, and I had these turned up in an equal volume, and then sent my effects at that same volume, then that mix would be perfect. It would be equal. But if I go and turn down channel 2 or my Vox 2, I want that fader adjustment to also go to my effects. That way, the blend of my vocal 1 and my vocal 2 is still the blend that's going to my effects. Now, I wouldn't want to have a monitor set to post because that means that any of the fader adjustments that I'm doing here would also be affecting those monitors that the musicians are using. So I want to have them set on pre-1 or pre-2. Now we can see that there is some things that we can choose between pre-1 and pre-2. So we have on pre-1 is going to be post our high-pass filter and post our gate. So if we have Aux 1 set on pre-1, that means that it is going to be after the high-pass filter and after the gate. If we choose pre-2, then that means it's also going to include our compressor, our EQ, and our limiter. Now, this setting that you choose is going to be on a case-by-case instance. I typically am wanting to have my EQ adjustment sent to my floor monitors, meaning that if I have this set on pre-1, that wouldn't include any of my EQ. So I would go ahead and set these to be pre-2. Now, the only downside of this is that we are going to be including our compressor on this send, meaning that if we are doing too much compression on a channel, especially a vocal, then that vocalist is going to start backing away so that they can get some of that dynamics back into their channel. So just keep that in mind, that if you're working with a vocalist and they want to hear all of the dynamics that they're doing, you will need to set this to pre-1. So this is, again, going to be on a case-by-case basis. Now, why would I want to have the ability of setting post on any of these? Well, for instance, if I wanted to set up my Aux 3 and 4 as a streaming feed for an online stream, I could set Aux 4 to be post and Aux 3 to be post and make sure that I have these two things linked. And at this point, I can then go and dial in an online streaming mix. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So here's my Aux 3, and I'm going to set all these at the same level. And maybe I have my speaking microphone, like my pastor or my presenter, and though that person is on my channel 15 and 16. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the amount that's being sent by that speaking microphone in comparison to my music on the rest of the channels. And this way it will overcome the in-room audio difference that you're going to hear between music being loud and speaking, which is going to be quieter. So I can do this. Now, the benefit is this is set up as a post-fader mix, meaning that whatever mix that I make on these faders is going to be sent at the same level, because all of these are at 0. It's going to be sent at the same level to my Aux 3 and 4, which is my streaming feed that I'm setting up. I can then go plug in my Aux 3 and 4 outputs into my streaming device, and that is my streaming mix. And because this is set to post fader, it's receiving all of my fader adjustments that I'm making on my main faders. Now, if we want to see the output metering for our Auxes, all we have to do is go press our output meters right here, and these are the outputs that are going to our Auxes. Now, you'll notice my Aux 3 and 4 currently has nothing, and that's because that's still set to post fader, meaning that if I go and start turning up my channels, now we will start receiving this. And because this is post fader, again, if I go and start muting things, it's also going to mute those channels. Now, one thing to note about our Aux sends is even if I have this set to pre-fader, if I go and mute all of my channels, it's going to mute them in the Auxes as well. So do keep that in mind. Now, the very last thing that I always get a question about is, can I send my effects to my monitors? And the answer is yes. So you have your effects A and our effects B right here, and we can select between sending them to the mains, and we can send it to aux 1 through 4. Now this is going to send it to all of the auxes if you press this, so keep that in mind that you can send your effects into your aux sends if you want to. Now the very last thing to mention is our talkback mic level can be set, and we can choose if our talkback is going to our aux 1 and 2, aux 3 and 4, or none of them. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or if there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the Studio Live, or really any of the production mixers that are out there, please put that in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com, where I have a whole bunch of articles, tips, and tricks. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.